All right, let's get into it. Today, we're going to talk about a pretty massive shift. The journey from old school pen and paper accounting to the automated digital systems that basically run the financial world now. It's the old way versus the new way, and it all starts with a problem every bookkeeper used to dread.
Have you ever had that feeling, where you're staring at a spreadsheet and you just know one tiny number is off somewhere? Well, imagine doing that but with stacks of actual physical paper books. A single typo could literally mean days of work hunting it down. That one little frustrating moment is the perfect place for us to start.
Because really, to get why the new way is so good, you have to appreciate just how painful the old way could be. So let's dive into the world of manual accounting and the headaches that came with it. So what are we talking about here? We're talking about the classic old school method. Physical books, big ledgers, pens, calculators. Everything, and I mean everything, was done by hand. Every single transaction had to be physically written down, not just once, but usually in a few different places. And believe me, that was a huge burden. First off, it was just slow, so slow. You're doing every calculation with a calculator, which means human error is always a possibility. And if you made a mistake, that was a nightmare. You're flipping through pages, scratching things out, trying to recalculate everything. And let's not forget, your company's entire financial history was just sitting there in paper form, totally vulnerable to a fire, a flood, or just a spilled cup of coffee. But then, of course, technology came along and offered a much, much better way. And that brings us to the hero of our story, the digital solution that changed the game completely. And here it is. A computerized accounting system basically takes all that manual grunt work and just automates it. You put a transaction in one time, and the system does the rest. It updates all the right records, and you can generate these incredibly important reports with, the click of a button.
And it's so important to understand this. This is way more than just a fancy calculator. This was a fundamental change in thinking. We went from having a bunch of separate, static books to one single dynamic system that manages the entire financial health of a business.
So what does that actually mean in the real world? What are the game-changing benefits? Let's break down the big three: speed, accuracy, and automation. When you look at it like this, it's amazing how each advantage directly fixes a problem with the old way. The speed is just incredible. What took a person days now takes a computer seconds. The automated calculations get rid of those little human errors, and since transactions get posted everywhere they need to go, automatically and in real time, you save so much money on staff hours and even supplies like paper. And maybe most importantly, your data is finally safe, backed up digitally, protected from any physical disaster. It's just a smarter way to work. Okay, but there's one really big but, a huge catch. The system is only as smart as the information you give it. You've probably heard the phrase garbage in, garbage out, or GOGO, and it is absolutely true here. The computer will do the math perfectly every time, but if you accidentally type in the wrong sales number, your final report will be perfectly, reliably wrong. The job for humans changed from doing the math to making sure the data going in is right. And this chart just lays it all out, plain and simple. The difference is night and day. Just look at the comparison. Speed, slow versus incredibly fast. Calculations, prone to error versus highly accurate. Fixing mistakes, a nightmare versus super easy. Data safety, vulnerable versus secure. And reporting, it goes from a huge time-consuming project to something you can get instantly whenever you want. There's really no contest. But the real magic, the true power of these systems isn't just in making things faster. It's in how everything connects. It's not just a box of tools. It's a fully integrated, intelligent hub for all your financial data. This is the best way to think about it. The old way was like having a bunch of separate notebooks that knew nothing about each other. A computerized system is one living, breathing organism where every part is talking to every other part. You make a change in one place, and the whole system knows about it instantly. And this is what that looks like under the hood. You've got all these different subsystems or modules, one for sales, one for purchases, one for inventory, payroll, you name it. They all have their own job, but they're all operating as parts of one unified system. Let's make this real. Say you make a single sale. Watch what happens. First, the system creates an invoice. At the exact same time, it automatically updates your inventory to show one less item in stock. It also logs that this customer now owes you money. Then, when the payment comes in, the system automatically matches it to that original invoice.
One single event triggers a perfect automated 4-step chain reaction. That right there is integration in action. Pretty cool, right?
So where does that leave us today? What does the modern toolbox look like, and what's next? Let's take a quick look at the software we use now and the trends that are shaping the future. I'm sure you've heard of at least some of these. Giants like QuickBooks, Sage, and Oracle have packaged all this power into software that businesses of all sizes can use. And honestly, for a really small operation, even a super well-organized Excel spreadsheet can act as a pretty decent basic accounting system. But of course, things don't stand still. The evolution is still happening, and the next big thing is fintech, which is short for financial technology. This is a really broad term for how tech is being woven into all financial services, not just accounting, but payments, banking, investing, the whole shebang. Now, this all sounds great, but there is a trade-off. There's a pro and a con. On one hand, fintech brings amazing new efficiencies and gives more people access to powerful financial tools. But on the other hand, the more of our sensitive financial data we put online, the greater the risk becomes from things like data breaches and cyber attacks. It's a constant balancing act. And that really brings us to the big final question to think about. If computers are handling all the number crunching and the automation is taking care of the processes, what's left for people to do? The job isn't about data entry anymore. So as we move into this fully digital future, we have to ask ourselves, what are the truly human skills, things like critical thinking, strategy, and giving good advice, that are going to be most valuable?